want to continue on this thread about the issue of like kind of fascist states. So the whole thing with say Israel, that was one that some of you might have seen, that really strangely and rather poorly put together thing that I did, because I was trying to use the internet to read the source while also filming or doing a live stream. It didn't work so good. But the party was this something Ha-Bariot, if I remember right, is how it's said in Hebrew. And that was the Brotherhood of Thugs, is what it loosely translates to, if I remember. And that was the Israeli short-lived fascist movement. And with, of course, the idea that, I mean, like, it could not have existed without there being plenty of support in some way, shape, or form for people who felt like, well, why don't we just make the fucking Palestinians do what we want? Why don't we just make the various Jews of the diaspora behave the way we feel is correct? And people should know that there is somewhat a feeling like that in Israel. Like, if you're ever there, you are a little almost curious about why everything runs sort of so well. And that at some point you realize it's not so much, well, we just had to do what we had to do. No. It's that scarier end of we had to do what we had to do. And it took me a while to take that in. Singapore is sort of this ideal state. Well, there's a rumor about Singapore. And the rumor about Singapore is something that was a rumor that I only happened upon because of a writer for basically a movement in this country that is very, very, very not to be mentioned. And he basically was saying that Oswald Mosley ended up in Singapore. And that's why you have the Singapore Action Party, is what it's called. The Action Party is what makes Singapore run correctly. It is also, the Action Party is they are basically the party that doesn't allow you to spit in Singapore. Why? Because if anybody were to spit in front of a mosque in Singapore, the whole island would go up in flames. And the idea of the Chinese immigrants to Singapore doing something to disrespect the Muslims of Singapore is why their government is hard. And yeah, because people have to behave there or else they'll all kill each other. So facing something like that, Singapore has the government it has, but it's also Singapore's government is fascist in its foundations. It's just that we don't think of it that way. So a lot of states, Saddam Hussein, a lot of these revolutionary states where you have like a person's face on the flag, these are states that when you look into their history, they came into power off of the people who were fascists during our grandparents' times, and then continued this as a kind of philosophical school of thought within their countries. They just figured a way of not calling it that. So when we have issues of weapons of mass destruction, one of the fascinating things is claims about weapons of mass destruction seem to have a lot to do with fascist states. It seems that when we prop up these people, like Saddam Hussein, we say, you have weapons of mass destruction. This was not incorrect. It's just that how the hell did somebody like him get them and have labs for them? So there's basically a world of rumor that Saddam Hussein's weapons were moved by us to then Bahrain and Syria. And it was a deal we were making with these countries. Now, the thing that made me wonder about this rumor in the long run was that when the weapons of mass destruction went off in Syria, when ISIS was attacking stuff, Remember, the rebels, the FSA, they actually said out loud that they were the ones who accidentally set off the weapons because they were removing them for the safety of the public. This was in Associated Press. When people looked, they also had photos. They said these are Bashar Assad's weapons of mass destruction we found in this or that city. This is what the rebels were claiming. And then they made the claim that they appear to be of Bahraini origin. Bahrain at the time was having constant revolts. This is only a handful of years ago. There's literally a Bahrain Revolution channel where you could just watch riots like for months. I mean, I couldn't even understand what I was seeing sometimes. The amount of rioting and stuff going on in Bahrain. So it's just, a convenient revolution happening in a country we hear very, very little about, but does seem to at one point have been propped up by us, but now it doesn't seem so much. So this is just something that I just wanted to put that out there, because in case some of you know a bit more. There we go. Let's just leave it at that.